guys, welcome to Better Bachelor. My name is Joker with a face for radio and a voice for print. A couple of years ago, I forgot to bring up my thumbnail for this. Oh, heavens to Murgatroyd. Let me bring that up. A couple of years ago, if I told you that the government was going to change what is acceptably known as science, and they would purposefully, well, some of you might have known this stuff, but if I said they're going to change the science, and then if you said, well, that's wrong, they would say, but here's the science, and that's what they're going to use for reference, and it would prove you wrong, and all of a sudden you're labeled as the crazy one. And I'd say government is working in collusion with food manufacturing as well as pharmaceuticals to get you very sick and very fat for as long as possible. And then they're going to recommend using surgery and medicine, not eating healthy and exercise as a way to solve your problems. And that was going to be the new science. You would call me a crazy person. You'd say, dude, put on your tinfoil hat and get some help. Well, here it is. The New World Order governments have made a new food pyramid scheme. And I call it a scheme, but it is a food pyramid. We're just going to call it a pyramid scheme that rates Lucky Charms, which is a sugary, nasty cereal here in the United States, as healthier than steak. And I'll read through that. And then here's the other story I want to talk about today. New pediatric guidelines for treating obese children include surgery and medication. That's right. It's not changing their diet because they're following the food pyramid, you see, of eating Lucky Charms instead of eggs for breakfast and bacon. And then they want to give them medication and surgery to thin them up. No conversations about getting some sunshine and exercising and being out and about. Just live in your pod. You will own nothing and you will be happy. So here's the first story. I changed this to dark mode because a couple of you said you like to watch this on big screen TVs in the dark. I said, well, okay. But it's still legible. So hopefully the rest of you can read this okay. Not that many read along, but I changed everything to a dark theme. Let me know what you think. The NIH-funded food pyramid rates Lucky Charms healthier than steak. They say 40% of Americans are obese. 71% of adults over 20 are overweight. See, that's 30%, or that right there is, that only leaves 30% of women I'm attracted to. I don't like the big girls. So needless to say, I'm out of the dating market. And for the first time in decades, life expectancy is falling due to chronic illness. WTF is going on. I'll get to the main story here. A few weeks ago, White House hosted a conference on hunger, nutrition, and health. One of the key organizers of the conference, dean of the Tufts School of Nutrition, had just finished spending 3 years and millions of our dollars designing a new food pyramid. His findings: Lucky Charms are healthier than steak. Americans have a massive obesity and disease problem, diabetes, a big one. Are we really not understanding why? According to the Tufts Food Compass, which they tout as the most comprehensive and science-based nutrient profiling system to date. This is the new science, everybody. Lucky Charms are healthier than whole milk, more than twice as healthy as beef, and better for you than a baked potato or cooked green peas. They rank watermelon as 100. Now, watermelon is like pure sugar. Canned peaches, which if in syrup is sugary syrup, but they specifically say canned peaches, not fresh peaches. Cheerios, 95. Pineapple, 94. Non-fat chocolate frozen yogurt is healthier than almost everything else. Chocolate-covered almonds, 78, which is, that's just pure fat and sugar. Orange juice with calcium, like having a glass of sugar. Lucky Charms is 60. Grape juice, 58. Now, what is the worst? The things that you need to be minimized on here. You can see it down here. It says to be minimized. Eggs fried in butter, cheddar cheese, ground beef. literally what nature makes for us. I mean, in many cases, not necessarily the cheddar cheese, but they say that the Frosted Mini Wheats and Honey Nut Cheerios are healthier foods. Oh, that they're health foods. Sorry, I was reading that as healthier. Frosted Mini Wheats and Honey Nut Cheerios are considered health foods. The Food Compass, which gives top ratings to Cheerios, Lucky Charms, and Cocoa Puffs, is absurd on the face of it, and all nearly 70 brand-name cereals from General Mills, Kellogg's, and Post are ranked twice as high as eggs cooked in butter or a piece of plain whole wheat toast. And they say right here, if you look at the chart here, from 1960 to almost 1980, this is the percentage of overweight and obese. And you can see what happened when they came out with one of their last pyramids. This is when the sugar is okay, but natural fats and saturated fats and butter and eggs and meat and bacon is all bad for you. And they say here in 1963, the Sugar Research Foundation paid Harvard researchers the equivalent of $50,000 to refute sugar's role in heart disease, and researchers happily produced the results they were hired to produce. Instead of blaming sugar, they blamed cholesterol and saturated fat. Today, after 60 years of fat is bad food policy, Americans have never been in worse health. So here's the other one that I wanted to read, because here we're telling, because remember, if you say that's BS and the government is trying to do bad things to us, they'll say you're not following the science. This is the science. This is a 3-year study with millions of dollars behind it. Who are you, Mr. Idiot, that's wearing a headphone and talking to strangers on the internet? Who are you to say what's right and wrong? They're literally going to keep doing it, just keep lying to you and tell you that they're the smart ones in the room. Well, the new pediatric guidelines for treating obese children includes surgery and medication. The American Academy of Pediatrics public guidelines for treating the 14.4 million U.S. children and teens affected by obesity on Monday. Organization of 67,000 pediatricians recognized obesity as a sensitive topic and that it can be treated successfully by acknowledging it as a condition in which complex factors from genes to family income can play a factor. Recommendations for kids as young as 2 include behavior and lifestyle changes, including physical activity. Okay, good. As heavily overweight children enter their teens, those treatments as well as medications may be in order, along with surgical evaluation. Well, we touched on working out a little bit in physical activity, but boy, did they jump real quick to medications and looking at lap band surgery for teenagers. There's no one-size-fits-all solution to treating the complex issue of obesity, wrote Dr. Sarah Hempel of University of Missouri-Kansas School of Medicine, co-author of the new guidelines. Yeah, there's pretty much a one-size-fits-all, if not all, most. You know, we are a machine. We're actually a pretty simple machine. We desire sugary, sweet things and carbohydrates. We're built like that. Why? Because if you look at the history of humankind, those were the most dense calories, and they were also the hardest to find. You know, in nature, if you actually look at fruits and berries and things like that, they got a lot of fiber. They actually don't have that much sugar. You know, an apple is, I think, 50 to 60, maybe 75 calories. That's not a ton. Now, if you want to go out there and try to eat 600 calories worth of apples, you got to eat 10 of them. Good luck to you. But you can have a milkshake today and have 1,200 calories, and you're still hungry afterwards. We've refined the process. And so in nature, you're normally eating animal meat, animal fat, vegetables, fruit. That's all there was. And then when you'd come across some honeycomb or, you know, something else that's extremely high calorie count, you'd be like, oh, and you'd gorge yourself on it because it specifically tastes good to our bodies. We're designed like that so that we can overeat these things. And you do that and you'd get body fat. And why? That would protect you. So if you hit the lean times and there wasn't much food around, you could operate quite well. I've mentioned this on several other videos that I've done. I've fasted for 3 weeks before. I wasn't laying in bed. I was out. I was going for long walks. I felt really good. I actually felt really good. I need to do it again. As a matter of fact, I'm going to be doing a for my New Year's resolution. Somebody posted a video of mine from like a year and a half ago, and I was like, oh my God, I'm getting fat. Sometimes it takes you a reminder to see yourself on video and be like, oh God, my cheeks all chipmunky. And so it's no shame on anybody that like overeats. I do it too. But when we get to the point where we're not even willing to have a conversation about it, we say, oh, it's terribly complex. No, it's just we're a machine. Calories in, calories out, energy expended, energy not expended. You eat and sit all day long, you'll get fat. The problem is now that if you fight back against this, they're going to come out and they'll say, oh, you can only buy X amount of meat on your crypto, on your government-funded digital coin. And if you look at the food pyramid, you don't need that much meat anyway. It's a luxury. You should avoid it. Have a cricket patty instead. They go on to say Monday's recommendations from the AAP are the first comprehensive guide on the issue in 15 years. The AAP describes obesity as a chronic disease that has been stigmatized for years and is associated with serious short and long-term health concerns when left untreated, including cardiovascular diseases and diabetes. Agreed. But what's the stigmatism? Look, you don't get to just eat and eat and eat. And when people say, hey, you're getting fat, you can't say, don't body shame me. I'm beautiful at any size. Dude, it has nothing to do with that. You're killing yourself. You're slowly killing yourself for the mouthfeel, or you're bored, or you're sad, or you're depressed. We can't just keep taking these feelings over fact in society. It'll end them. Other recommendations by the AAP for treating obesity include nutrition support. Great, except the nutrition support is going to point to the nutrition guideline that's all screwed up. Bariatric surgery, behavioral therapy. The behavioral therapy I actually agree with. Pharmacotherapy and bariatric surgery. And remember, they're talking about teens in this, guys, teenagers. They're talking about drugs and surgery, which focuses on the stomach and intestines. Pharmaceutical. Fake food. So what do they want to do? Doctor visits, medication, surgery. And yes, they do have a couple things in there of, hey, maybe there's something going on psychologically. But they're also talking about, not having access to good food. Dude, I get it. I've been in some areas where there are bars on windows and the only thing you can find are gas station, convenience stores. I get it. There is lack of access to good foods in some areas. But when you're talking about 70% of the United States being overweight, we got a much bigger problem. So they want you sick. They want you almost dead. They want you to take the meds that they prescribe, do the surgeries, stay unhealthy. Nothing, they don't want you better. And the more that comes out with this stuff, the more I firmly believe, because these are government guidelines now that are telling you that Lucky Charms are the way to a healthy life. I don't know what to tell you.